Tonight we're making pizza, and I love making my own sauce. You don't have to make your own sauce. If you have time to make it, great. If you don't, that's fine. You can use canned sauce. But for tonight, I'm making my sauce. I've got a little bit of olive oil, about 1/4 of an onion chopped. I'm going to cook the onion, and then when the onion's about halfway through, I will add some garlic. I could add some tomatoes, garlic powder, and just probably a teaspoon of chicken bouillon just to give it some depth and some flavor. And I'm going to let these boil down. Now you can also use fresh tomatoes, and if you have a little bit of paste, you can throw that in there to add some depth to it also. My onions are cooking nicely. I'm going to add a nice heavy teaspoon, close to 1/2 tablespoon of garlic. You know, it all depends on how much garlic you like. I'm going to add my can of tomatoes, and you can use stewed tomatoes. These have basil, garlic, and oregano, which is perfect for pizza, for making your own sauce. And I'm going to let that come to a boil as I put in about a teaspoon of bouillon. And if you use the cubes, you know, it's going to make it waterier, so I prefer to use the concentrated. And then I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in there. And then I'm also going to put in some Italian spice and my other go-to, which is my Worcestershire. So just a dash of Worcestershire gives everything a little more depth. And then some herbs. So if you have fresh basil, fresh thyme, whatever, fresh herbs in the house, use them. I'm going to be putting fresh basil right on the pizza. So I want to bring this to a boil. And once it's to a boil, it's going to simmer down and get a little thicker. And then it'll be just the right thickness to put on my pizza. While the onion's cooking, I got some dough from the local Domino's. Some of the Domino's don't give you, sell you dough. So you can get your dough either at the store or make your own dough. And there's plenty of recipes online. If you have time to make your dough, it's well worth it. If you don't have time to make your dough, most of the grocery stores sell dough. So I'm rolling out, this is actually 1/2 of a large dough, because we just like to pile on lots of stuff onto a smaller amount of dough. But if, that being said, this is almost like a personal size. If you are big pizza eaters, then you can get a couple of doughs and make a couple of pizzas. Might as well, because then you can have the rest of the pizza for lunch the next day. So I'm rolling this out to a pretty good thickness. I've got some cornmeal underneath it. And then what I'm going to do is I've got my pan here because I'm going to be cooking it on the grill. And if you're cooking it on the grill or in the oven, you still want to put some Pam on your pan. And just get this a little more rolled out. And see, the cornmeal prevents it from sticking. And then I'm just going to kind of stretch it out here on my pan. And you can make a crust if you want to make a crust, whatever works for you. So I'm going to let that sit and rest for a minute while my grill's getting hot and my onions are cooking. So I flipped the dough and it's cooking nicely. And then I'm going to take it off here in a moment and we're going to put the sauce on. Okay, so I've cut up the chicken from last night. That's the chicken that I did on the grill. So I had some leftover tenderloins. We had some bacon left over from earlier this week, some tomato, some fresh basil from the garden, some feta, some fresh mozzarella, and some artichokes. So basically, if you're making a pizza, do whatever you like on your pizza. Put whatever you like on your pizza, whatever you have in the fridge. So I grilled the dough. You can also do the dough in the oven. If you're going to do the dough in the oven, I still would cook it on both sides just so it's done. And then here's my sauce that I made. So excited about this sauce. So homemade sauce, I'm going to put that on there. It boiled down. Look how thick it got. If you don't like your tomatoes that chunky, you can take a little food processor and put that in there and make this a little less chunky, but for tonight, we're doing chunky. So I'm gonna make sure that's not too hot to touch. Let me grab my towel. So I've got my pizza here ready to go. I'm gonna put all my toppings on. I'm gonna put some chicken. Well, actually, I have some cheddar, so I'm gonna use that as my base to go with the chicken. And anything goes. You don't have to just use mozzarella. You don't have to just use, you don't even have to use sauce. I'm going to put a little blue cheese on this today too. So I've got my leftover chicken. I'm going to fill that up. And that's what I was saying earlier. Even though this is a small dough, I'm putting so much on it that it's going to be very filling. And, you know, just layer all your ingredients on there, however it works for you. Make it look pretty if you want. I'm just going to rip up the basil and put that on there in little pieces all over. Anything goes. So, you know, don't get stuck on making everything perfect. As long as the flavors are there, as long as the layering is there. The feta, you can put a little bit, you can put a lot, you can put goat cheese. If you have shredded mozzarella, you can put that on. I just happen to have the feta and this fresh mozzarella. Even though it looks kind of chunky right now, once it gets hot, it's going to melt down. And there's no rules. Cheese doesn't have to be the last thing on. So I love my artichokes a little crispy. I'm going to put those on there. Look how big and tall this pizza's getting. I mean, it's just going to be so loaded down. And then I'm just going to add, for a little bit of taste, I'm going to add some chunky blue cheese, just because it goes great with chicken. And then I'm going to put it either back in the oven or on the grill so that it gets nice and hot and toasty. All right, let's see what it looks like when it's done. So here we go. The pizza just came off the grill, or it came out of the oven. You can see all the cheese is melted and all the ingredients are hot. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting into this. Nice and crunchy crust. Looking good. So bon appetit.